Yokozuna speaks English? And Saturday Night tries to one-up Monday Night Raw after their match last week. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dropkicks and Attractions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard to episode 3, season 12, episode 75.
Season 3, episode 3.
Thank you. Of Dropkicks and Attractions, the only podcast that does episodes every 7 months. I am, of course, Xander Invictus, joined by my co-host, Big Bach.
Good evening, Xander. How things going on your end?
I don't have to work for the next 2 days, so.
Gotcha.
Once again, thank you, everybody, for the support. We're still getting ridiculous amount of numbers. We're actually closing in on, I checked it right before we went live today on YouTube. Our views are actually almost up there with last week's. You got the week or so change.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost meeting that number already.
I've been keeping an eye on it too. It feels good.
Yeah. Holy shit, Rumble. Showing some love for Rumble. Last week's episode was not only the most watched one on Rumble by far, it actually almost eclipsed the combined total of our views on Rumble. We are getting, more views on, overall, I'm extremely happy right now, so we're all incredibly grateful.
Yes, thank you very much.
I am sipping on, I have now switched over to Celsius. I am sipping on their Tropical Vibe Sparkling Starfruit Pineapple.
Sounds yummy.
It is. And you, sir?
I'm just on Diet Mountain Dew like I usually am.
Of course you are. You would bleed that.
I probably would.
You were like me with regular Mountain Dew in high school.
I gotcha.
Hey, it was the 90s. That's all we drank. It was Mountain Dew.
Fair.
Speaking of the 90s, we are a week away from the 4th of July celebration, and it actually, we'll talk about it a little bit more, and then next week we'll really get into it. It just hit me that this was a very, very extravagant, opulent, expensive publicity stunt for someone's new gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you see what happens, you'll see it next week, because this was never recorded. Well, I mean, it was recorded. They have footage, but I mean, as in, it was never like a TV special, pay-per-view or whatever. The Stars and Stripes Challenge.
It wasn't broadcast.
No, but they had clips of it. But it's just, it hit me that this was all a publicity stunt for a person's new gimmick.
Gotcha.
And they haven't been on the show in a few weeks.
Huh.
It's crazy. Like, it just hit me. But anyways, this is Monday. We'll go ahead and get into it. Monday Night Raw. June 28th, 1993. We are still in Poughkeepsie, New York. And we hit the intro video instantly.
Yeah, starts right off with the theme song.
Yep, we get the original theme song, the original intro video. And we go to Bobby, Randy, and Vince going over the card. And we hop into our first match, which is the Intercontinental title match. Shawn Michaels, accompanied by Diesel, is defending against Kamala. And this was always weird to me that the champion came out first. Like, I get, sometimes it makes sense, like for storylines, or like it actually happened last year where it made sense to me. When you had the Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn for the title, and you're in Montreal, and you knew the reception Sami Zayn was going to get.
Right.
But traditionally, the champion, they have the belt, they have the privilege, they come out last.
Right.
It just, like, it happens, but it seems weird that the Shawn Michaels versus Kamala on Monday Night Raw does the opposite.
Right, I get you.
Yeah. It's a tradition thing.
Yeah.
I also, speaking of Kamala's entrance, I saw him coming out while they had the ring girl who was probably a lawyer / pediatrician / teacher / model / subway driver / McDonald's franchise owner / dog whisperer / Miss Cleo type psychic. She was maybe also a stunt woman. Like, I don't know. They get more and more jobs every week. She's walking, like, they have the camera focused on the curtain for Kamala to come out. She's in the middle of the shot going through the curtain.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and if I looked, I had to rewind this a little bit. If you look, you can actually see Kamala step to the side for her to go through before he comes out and does the...
I didn't catch that.
it was really faint. Like I had to glance. I was like, wait, did I see that right? Like it was behind the curtain. It wasn't.
Okay.
But it was like, oh, pardon me, ma'am. After you, blah 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 blah. It's small insignificant things that I just find humorous.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and apparently Bobby is all his tax write offs and everything. He's like, well, you live in Beverly Hills, aren't you, Rich? He's like, yeah, but I'm supporting a orphanage in Guam. So I guess good on Bobby.
Yeah, he said he had IRS, Erwin R. Shyster, do his taxes.
Yeah. So I guess good on Bobby. I guess
I guess.
It's Bobby. We love Bobby. Nobody will ever
say a bad word about him.
No. Oh, we won't allow it.
No, never.
No, I don't allow it in here. So we get in this, and I like there was funny shtick here. Like this is overall, this was not the greatest match on Raw or ever, but what I enjoyed about it, it was funny.
I agree.
Like this is one of the things like people's like, oh, you can't have funny in wrestling or this or that. This to me it worked because if you do it in like spoonfuls, like you once again we've established I'm not the biggest ultraviolent fan.
Right.
In spoonfuls and in the right situation, I can get down on a death match.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of those where it's like, oh, this was funny. It was just funny enough. It was Kamala doing his old rubbing the belly. I'm a savage.
Yeah, and this match also showed to me how good Shawn is at selling. Like, the beautiful sells.
Oh, yeah. Like, if there's the funny thing is, like, when he wanted to, like, this was not full on douchebag Shawn Michaels yet. We were a couple of years away from this.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about the late 90s douchebag Shawn Michaels. This was great, and it was funny. Like, he sold it in a funny way. And we're just going back and forth, the whole Kamala thing. He was just playing around. And we do go get a commercial. Like, there's not much going on other than the shtick. We go to commercial, and Shawn Michaels gets caught in a bear hug. And then when we get back, there's multiple, very close two counts from Kamala trying to get that title early.
Yeah, he's just smothering Shawn at that point.
Mm-hmm. HBK takes over because Kamala goes for like a running knee strike into the corner and smashes his knee into the turnbuckle, and it's basically HBK for the rest of the match.
Yeah, there's a long time where it's all Shawn on Kamala's knee, at which point there's more talk from commentary about the Stars and Stripes challenge.
Yeah, and I know there was a funny thing was that you could just, they're showing how strong, even in injury, how strong Kamala's knee was because Shawn's like trying to set up for like a figure four or something, and Kamala throws him with his leg, but then you get the funny spot where Shawn yelling at the ref that Kamala's pulling his hair. We go through, and Kamala actually does hit his finisher. It's that standing splash. And there was always this thing where it's like, because he's a savage, he's stupid, he doesn't understand our ways. He goes for the pin while Shawn's face down.
Yeah, the ref tries to get him, hey, you got to do it the other way, but then he just rolls Shawn a full 360 degrees and does it again. Because
he's stupid.
Yeah.
It was a Kamala shtick. It was a Kamala thing. It was part of his character. He always did that.
I didn't care for it, but it doesn't really bother me.
I get why they did it. Like I said, it was part of the shtick that he's such a savage he doesn't understand that you got to pin somebody on their back.
Right.
So we get to this and do this thing, and Diesel gets on the apron to distract Kamala, who eats a super kick to the back of the head, and Shawn gets the win.
Yeah, that was 8 minutes, 58 seconds. I wasn't a big fan of this. To me, it just felt too slow.
Like I said, overall, Raw was just kind of there.
Yeah.
But good on Kamala for no-selling Shawn Michaels' finisher because he pops up right after the kick out.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the pin, Kamala pops right back up like, oh, cool, thanks for shitting on his finish move.
Yeah.
And so he gets up, he starts attacking Shawn more. And then, but him and Shawn and Diesel come in and they just beat the shit out of Kamala, and then it just ends there.
Yep, abrupt end of segment.
Highlight was Diesel knocking Kamala down with one punch.
Agreed.
He's got he's got all those ooze powers being Super Shredder and everything.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had talked about that.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, that Kevin Nash way back in the day was Super Shredder at the end of Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he's still got a little bit of that TGRI left.
Ha!
And so we come back from commercial. Vince is in the ring. He's going to interview Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji, and this is basically just to put over Yokozuna's this unstoppable force before we do the Stars and Stripes challenge. This coming Sunday, the 4th of July, is going to be on a Sunday this year. And Fuji's basically saying that they're doing this to humiliate America because they have said that they are going to have this on the Intrepid, which is like an aircraft carrier that's like a museum and like like a landmark, that sort of thing. It's in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Fuji says Yokozuna will be the champ forever, and when he does retire, he's going to take the title back to Japan and award it to like higher ups.
Right, someone in Japanese royalty, I believe it was.
Yeah, something like that. Yoko actually speaks like perfect English.
American athletes are just like American products. They are no good. Bonsai!
This was just like a couple sentences, and it was weird because he always ever said like bonsai or something else. He spoke perfect English. Like there was no accent, no nothing. It was just pure perfect English, and then bonsai, and then the segment's over.
Mm-hmm. Then we get some quick promos from a couple of football players, and for some reason, Tatanka.
Well, for Tatanka, because they said it's open to all athletes and the wrestlers too.
Right.
And by God, I'll give the athletes credit for trying. Those promos were awful.
No, they were not particularly good.
And the second one, I don't remember the guy's name. He started it with his face facing away from the camera. I see he's trying to do like a dramatic thing.
Right.
But then he does half his promo with his back to the camera. And when he turns, it felt like super awkward. What it reminded me of, I don't know if you've seen this, but I really enjoyed the movie Talladega Nights.
I know, albeit I've never seen it.
Okay, this is the one where Will Ferrell's the NASCAR driver, and they interview him at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, he keeps putting his hands up, like he keeps raising his hands while he's talking.
Mm-hmm.
On the camera, like, no, you're doing it. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, no, you're just staying here, you're fine, and he just keeps raising his hands up again. Like, the movie's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
You would enjoy it. I'd seek it out. It's great. It's basically Will Ferrell as a moron playing a NASCAR driver.
Gotcha. I do like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, that's where the whole shake and bake thing comes from.
Gotcha.
Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, Sacha Baron Cohen's his rival for the movie. He's a French NASCAR driver who's sponsored by Perrier.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's freaking hilarious. This is where the Chip, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. When I do the whole Chip, I'm coming at you like a spider monkey.
Oh, gosh.
Whenever you hear me say that, that's where it comes from.
Okay.
Chip, I'm going to throw your war medals off a bridge. No, those are his sons, Ricky Bobby's sons, Walker and Texas Ranger.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, Ricky Bobby's a fucking moron.
Okay.
But the movie's hilarious.
I believe it.
Yeah. So anyways, tangent aside, we get into our only tag match of the night. It is the Smoking Guns, Bart Gunn and Daddy Ass, versus Iron Mike Sharp and Barry Horowitz, who I always remember, like, he was always an enhancement talent, mainly WWF when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You always saw, he had the hands on his trunks, because he would always have a jacket that had a handprint, like, on his back of his shoulder. So he would do it, and he would kind of look like, so he's patting himself on the back. He would put his hand there to pat himself on the back.
Gotcha.
Because he's like, look at me, I'm so good. Yeah, thank you. But he actually wasn't bad. Like, I know from what I've seen, a lot of his time was spent like in the Florida area.
Mm-hmm.
He was good. Like, he was better than your typical enhancement talent. The skullet with the ill-fitting sing. Like, no, he was legitimately talented.
Gotcha.
This was just what everybody knows him for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Iron Mike Sharp, who had that brace on his forearm for 87 years. And this was all Billy at the start.
Yeah, he's going nuts, and I saw he's got great ups on his dropkick.
Oh, he always did. I don't think I've seen him throw one in a while. I mean, I get it. Like, he's older than he was.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's much older than he was at this point. This is about 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I liked, they were going back and forth, and there was a nice crisscross into like a small package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Barry breaks that up.
Yeah. And they do this thing where Bart is going for a crossbody, and Barry Horowitz just ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just doubles himself over, and Bart Gunn eats shit. It looked cool. Like, Spot looked cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Barry does a great bridging suplex.
Yeah, the Northern Light suplex, it was super good. Like I said, Barry Horowitz, I think, is underrated as a wrestler in general, because most people, especially from my generation that aren't, from the Florida area where he wrestled,
right,
are only going to know him for, like, enhancement matches.
Gotcha.
And there was this weird double team. Like, I see what they were trying to go with. Like, the Guns are going for a double team. Bart had, was it Barry or was it Sharp?
I think it was Barry.
Barry, up on his shoulders, kind of like, almost like a Canadian backbreaker rack. Kind of like almost like the power bomb, like off the shoulder, like he's going for like that Thunderfire power bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy comes off with some kind of like sledgehammer blow. It looked cool in theory, but it looked like it just didn't. It looked a little odd at the end.
Yeah, it was I don't know how to put. I can't put my finger on what was weird about it. It just seemed a little off.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. But yeah, guns win. Smoking guns win.
4 minutes, 28 seconds. Not a bad match.
No, like I said, there was nothing bad this week on Raw. Everything was just, it was all right. Basically, what you can say about Raw overall was it was all right.
Yeah, this was an average Raw start to finish.
Yeah, nothing good. Nothing awesome. There wasn't. I can't say nothing bad. We'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into we get another interview segment with Vince is now in the ring with Money Inc. and Vince is just talking shit to him.
Oh yeah, he's talking mad shit.
So he's like, "Yeah, where's your titles at, guys? Losers." And this is what surprised me. Well, I mean, not me, but DiBiase starts talking shit about Razor Ramon losing his money.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was wondering if maybe they're gonna feud at some point.
Well, we'll see. We'll see where these seeds are being sown for. Hey, DiBiase's rich. $10,000 is nothing to me. IRS is going to tax him. Blah blah blah. And you actually, by the end of the segment, you actually have the crowds actually chanting for Razor. I'm sorry, as IRS called him Razor Jabron.
I also noticed in this segment that IRS was talking about a rematch clause. Is that this where that idea as a whole in modern WWE came from?
No, it's always been a traditional, if there's a title change, that there's a rematch.
Okay.
This wasn't like where it started. It's always been a thing.
Okay, this was just the first time I've heard it mentioned.
And then we get to Adam Bomb with Johnny Polo, the former Scotty Flamingo, future Raven, versus PJ Walker. And Adam Bomb is from 3 Mile Island because radiation and all this stuff.
Right.
And Bobby said something, and I was like, he said Adam Bomb has a dog who has 5 paws on 1 foot.
That doesn't make sense.
No, because you basically just, like, once again, Bobby makes a rare mistake. We don't, Bobby basically just said that dog has 5 feet on 1 foot.
Right.
So, and unless maybe he's got, like, the foot and then, like, mini paws. Like, those little tiny hands you put on a finger?
Yeah.
So he's got those, like, all over his foot, so it looks like a friggin' one of those viruses that has the little stuff sticking out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but this was just a standard squash. You got the inside-out clothesline on the outside, and then Adam Bomb hits the Atom Smasher, which is the Thunderfire Powerbomb for the win.
Yep, just 2 minutes and 11 seconds of enhancement.
Yeah, like I said, nothing. No notes, nothing bad, nothing good. This was just, Adam Bomb debuted, handful of weeks ago recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when I say there, nothing good, nothing bad. I was like, well, we get Bastion Booger versus Crush.
Yeah.
And you've already seen Bastion Booger because you remember Friar Ferguson from several weeks ago?
That's who that was?
Yep, he was Friar Ferguson for like 2 weeks. They made him Bastion Booger. And his gimmick is he's fat and stinky. And apparently he's also Hillary Clinton's brother.
Gonna say, we get some topical talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Basically how, George Clinton, no, that's the singer. Bill Clinton, brother, was under the ring last week, but apparently Bastion Booger is Hillary Clinton's brother.
It was weird.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's topical. Bobby's like, I get it. It wasn't offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And Crush looks like he's going for a back body drop, and oh my God.
That did not look good.
It looked awful. But I also did say, yay, there was a Jurassic Park reference because it had just came out about a month and a half ago.
I think it would have been about 2 or 3 weeks.
But it was still very new in the theater. By the way, for those who want to know how much I love Jurassic Park, go back to our prior episodes where we did spend an episode talking about Jurassic Park. Spoiler alert, it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
To this day.
It's an amazing movie.
And apparently they're still talking about the Stars and Stripes Challenge because it's coming up here in a few days.
Yeah, June 11th was when it came out.
Thank you. So we're like 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And I will give Vince McMahon credit for some things that he will promote the shit out of his own stuff. He knows what he wants. He knows what he wants the message to be, so he will put the hell out of his stuff. He will put over the shit out of these things. So he's saying that the Stars and Stripes Challenge will pale in comparison, or I'm sorry, Wimbledon will pale in comparison to the Stars and Stripes Challenge.
Bold words. Let's see if they pay off.
No, it doesn't. But basically, you know how one of the top four, part of the tennis Grand Slam, the British Open, the Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, and the Australian Open.
Right.
But a bunch of athletes and wrestlers trying to body slam Yokozuna is bigger than Wimbledon.
Not so much, Vince. I appreciate your gumption, though.
But once again, he believes in his own shit. I can't hate him for that.
Agreed.
I honestly got bored in this match, and I was scrolling through Twitter. I got bored.
Yeah, this was way too slow.
And I noticed, I was like, oh, Crush is in a bear hug. I was like, oh, I've missed like a minute.
Yeah, that bear hug lasted a long time.
Yeah, and then he barely got Bastion Booger up for a suplex. And I don't think this was Crusher's fault. Crusher's a strong dude. But it's just, and then he won with, by any of the moves you could win from, he wins with a body slam.
Just a straight up body slam for a 5-minute, 39-second snooze fest.
This sucked.
Yes, it sucked.
And then, I'm sorry, 3 body slams. It took 3 body slams.
Right.
Like a move even I could do. It was one of the first moves I learned in wrestling school. It's like one of the easiest moves you can do. But they're also putting over Crush can like, oh, if he can, body slam a 400-pound Bastion Booger, I'm sure he can bring up Yokozuna for a slam.
Yeah, there was also a bit about that where Bobby said maybe Yokozuna might be bulking up even further past where he was the king of the ring.
Yeah, so they're talking maybe 600 pounds.
Yeah.
So after this, we get a promo from Randy, who's at Giant Stadium with, he says, the greatest running back of all time, Joe Morris of the Giants, which, I love you, Randy. Joe Morris is not even remotely close to the greatest running back of all time.
Who've you got for that?
Barry Sanders.
What team did he play for?
The Lions.
Okay.
To the fact that he is number 4, the all-time leading rushers. With the Lions, he was able to get number 4.
I'm not really familiar with their history, so I take it they weren't particularly good when he was with them.
Ever.
Okay.
The fact, by the way, that we're doing this is January 20th. This is the 2024 for those that are listening in the future. Hi.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
I like your flying cars. Say hi to George Jetson for me. The Lions are in the playoffs. I am rooting for the Lions to win the Super Bowl so bad. They deserve it so bad.
One of very few teams that have never been to the Super Bowl in this era.
Neither of the Browns. Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, my Browns, they didn't adjust. They got spanked. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Or not. But no, it's just they're such the feel-good story. And I actually watched the game last week. And I wanted them to win. I want them, like, I'm a 49ers fan. I have been for damn near 35 years. Like Joe Montana days. I get that they're both in the same conference. But if the 49ers don't make or win the Super Bowl, make it to the Super Bowl this year, just for this year at least, I want the Lions to.
Gotcha.
Like that coach they have, I know we're going off on sports. Bear with me. I'm ready to, whenever I hear that coach start going off on one of his speeches, I'm ready to run through a fucking wall.
Wow.
Like, if that guy does not get Coach of the Year, I will fucking riot. And I think he's been there 3 years, and I think they went, his first year, he coached at 0-10-1. When he first started coaching, and now they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
2 games away from the Super Bowl.
Definitely a feel-good story, like you said.
Let's put it this way. The last time, speaking of Barry Sanders, the last time they had a playoff win, Barry Sanders played for him.
It's been that long? Holy crap.
And Barry Sanders was actually at the game with friggin' Calvin Johnson and Eminem.
Cool.
So you had Eminem, Megatron, and friggin' Barry Sanders.
Wow.
There's a famous touchdown where Barry Sanders literally ran out of his shoes in the game and still scored a touchdown.
Really?
Yes, look it up. Barry Sanders basically ran barefoot.
I will look that up.
Yeah. Here's the thing. He's number 4 on the all-time leading rushers. Emmitt Smith is Emmitt Smith has the record.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Sanders was like, you know what? I'm done playing. I think he played 9 years and was like, no, I'm good. He could have had the record easily years before Emmitt Smith ever did. He was just like, no, I'm good. I'm done.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so yeah, nothing against Joe Morris. I'm sure he's a great player, but yeah, I get what you're doing, Randy. But yeah, Barry Sanders leaps and bounds the greatest running back of all time. Actually, my number 2 is Jerome Bettis.
Gotcha.
The bus.
I know who you mean.
Yeah. Also, why is Roger Craig not in the Hall of Fame? That's a 49ers thing. It's like he's basically one of the best players yet to be in the Hall of Fame. Why the fuck not?
Gotcha.
Anyways, Tangent. We haven't had a good tangent in a long time.
Oh yeah, that was a very good one. I love that.
Well, if there's a sport that I follow and I can talk about, or at least hold my own for the most part in conversation, it's football.
Gotcha.
I love me some football. But yeah, we're actually going to get, so they go over, I'm sorry, Joe Moore said he's going to slam Yokozuna.
Whoops.
And to be fair, we talked about the first episode, Rob Bartlett said Yokozuna.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to giggle because he said it wrong, but Joe Morris had no reason to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, Rob Bartlett, it's your job to know what the fuck their name is. Joe Morris had no reason to, you know what I'm saying?
Joe Morris had an excuse, Rob Bartlett didn't.
Yeah, basically is what I'm trying to say. But we're actually going to get the 1, 2, 3 Kid, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Mr. Perfect in action next week.
Yeah, next week's card is shaping up to be pretty good with those three. I'm looking forward to it.
And let's just say one of those matches ends in 40 seconds.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And apparently, according to the website I use for, so I have the card in front of me while I'm doing notes, 4 dark matches.
That many? Holy crap.
Yeah, one of those matches ends in 40 seconds. One of those matches ends in a minute.
Yikes.
Yeah. Anyways, so Raw overall, meh.
Meh.
And I think just by process of elimination, the IC title match was the best one.
Agreed.
And it wasn't bad. It was just,
It was.
yeah. The funny shtick, like I said, the funny shtick was great. It was HBK. You got the early Diesel, like he had only been debuted just a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I said, the Kamala stuff was just the right amount of shtick and cheese.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it was just, there was nothing here.
Filler.
Yeah, it was filler. So we're going into WCW Saturday night, July 3rd, 1993, and we're starting right off the bat with one of my favorites, who at this time had a badass WCW theme song, Ravishing Rick Rude. I loved his theme song.
It was a good song.
Yeah, and then we get Rex Cooper up against Rex Cooper, who apparently somebody forgot to finish downloading Rex Cooper's hair. I noticed that. I was like, oh, we got the back there, we got the ponytail in it, beep, It's what it feels like. Oh shit, I gotta go out. Oh, my hair's not loading yet. I gotta go out. All right, never mind.
So yeah, this starts off very fast. Rick Rude's on the attack before his robe is even off.
Yeah, we've seen him do this before, and he goes for he gets him with a suplex. And what was really cool is then he had him up for another suplex, but turned it into almost like press slam into a stun gun without moving. Ric Flair was dummy strong.
Yeah, Rick Rude.
I'm sorry, what'd I say?
You said Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. You know what? He's later on in the show, folks.
Oh yeah, we'll look forward to that.
We get both Ric Flair and Rude. But Rude was dummy strong, where he's able to hold the guy for a suplex, turn it into a kind of like almost like a press slam to drop with a stun gun. Rude awakening for the win.
1 minute, 19 seconds. Absolutely vicious.
Yeah. And we go over to Tony and Jesse, who are at ringside going over the card. Rick joins them ringside, talks about his U.S. title match with Dustin Rhodes, and this was a good promo.
Oh yeah. And as we've established, this is going to be an Iron Man match, 30 minutes.
Yep, most falls in 30 minutes. And we go into, speaking of Beach Blast, we're going to the Control Center with Eric Bischoff in one of his finest Hawaiian shirts.
He talks a bit about how the feuds get started between Rick Rude and Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, we get a little, the match that really had the title held up. And we get 3 matches announced. They've already announced the other matches, but they're announcing more. We're getting Paul Orndorff is defending the TV title against Ron Simmons, and they're waiving that dumb fucking rule.
Thank God.
Johnny B. Bad against Max Payne. And then we're also getting Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Alexander Bagwell, which apparently we're a fan of that team here at DNA.
Oh yeah.
Against Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce.
That's going to be a good power versus speed versus tactical. Good mix of styles.
Yeah, like overall, this is shaping up to be actually a pretty good card.
Yeah.
Like looking at it on paper, I'm like, oh yeah, this could be good.
Yeah, all of these have potential.
Yeah, something that doesn't have potential. We get another Cactus Jack segment.
Yeah, this is still pretty cringe.
Yeah, and Dustin Rhodes comes out looking like Cowboy Curtis from Pee-wee's Playhouse. That's a reference.
Yeah.
By the way, that was Lawrence Fishburne.
Really?
That was early Lawrence Fishburne with a Jerry curl.
I think I've heard that before, and it just kind of slipped my mind.
Yeah, check it out. It's actually it's an early role for Lawrence Fishburne.
Mhm.
Fucking Morpheus himself was Cowboy Curtis in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Wow.
My mom hated that show. We actually couldn't watch it when I was, growing up because my mom hated Pee Wee Herman.
Hmm.
So it was always nice when I'd go to visit my grandma over the summer. She'd let me watch it because my mom did not like Pee Wee Herman. By the way, rest in peace, Paul Rubens, who died several months ago.
Rest in peace.
I love me some Pee Wee Herman, or also, and I actually like this movie. You've never seen Mystery Men?
Name sounds familiar, but I've never seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
Ben Stiller, William H Macy, they're all like superheroes that are like, why are you superheroes? This is Paul Rubens was the spleen who had the power of flatulence. Yeah. Like this is where you had Kel Mitchell was the invisible man, but he was only invisible when people weren't looking.
Because that makes sense.
No, but it actually did, because if no one was looking, he would actually turn invisible. But then when they would turn, he would be visible again. And there's they're having the big, climactic fight scene at the evil guy's lair. And this is where that you see it in the trailer. It's like, I'm invisible. Can you see me? And he's naked. Well, they don't show it's PG-13, but he's like basically naked. And they're like, yes. And they get the one character like, maybe you want to put some fans on if you want to keep fighting crime today. By the way, this is where All Star from Smash Bros. Came from. Not Shrek. Mystery Men.
Gonna see, yeah. All Star was a big hit way before Shrek.
Yeah, it was on Mystery Men first. Matter of fact, the original All Star video was remember when they used to do music videos for movies and they would add the actors or clips from the movies?
I do remember that.
All Star was Smash Mouth. I'm sorry, All Star was Mystery Men.
Right.
Yeah, there was clips from the movie. They had the actors in the video. I will not besmirch the name of Mystery Men to rewrite the history about All Star.
Thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, by the way, it is a funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, William H. Macy's the shoveler. He has a shovel. That's his power. Janine Garofalo's the bowler. She uses a bowling ball, but it has the skull of her dead father in it.
I see.
And, who else? Oh, Hank Azaria's in it.
Really?
Playing the Blue Raja, who's not blue, but also speaks in an English accent because of the whole imperial rule of India, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Who throws silverware that he got from his mom's house. He lives with his mom and he throws like forks and knives and shit.
Wow.
The movie's hilarious. Jeffrey Rush is in it. Great Kinnear's in it. Yeah, it's Ben Stiller's. His power is that he gets angry. No, he doesn't change into like the Hulk or there's like, I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny movie. Anyways, God, I haven't multiple tangents. You guys are privileged today.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather talk about Mystery Men than that stupid fucking segment too.
Like I said, none of these have been good. The last week's was the best so far. It's just so cringe.
Also, Dustin Rhodes lost his hat, and he looked so sad. That had to have been his favorite hat. He looked so sad and dejected at the end of that segment. Back to better things, we get the Masters of the Powerbomb versus Larry Santo and Todd Zane.
And this is pretty much just standard enhancement, but God, it was fun.
Yeah, and like Sid with that big boot where he just runs at him and he goes, yeah!
You're right in the face.
Yep, and we get a double powerbomb for the win.
Yeah, 2 minutes, 32 seconds. Vader also hit a frog splash.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, there was not much that happened in it. Like, if you've seen any Masters of the Powerbomb match, you've seen them all. It was fun to watch. It's just, yeah, at the risk of sounding repetitive, not much different from last week's or any of the other.
We got to watch enhancement talent enhancing people.
Yeah, and then we get Flair for the Gold with Max Payne. Honestly, as much as I'd say this is the worst one so far, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, all of them have been so good that an average one just seems out of place.
Yeah, this is basically Max Payne comes out with Norma Jean talking about his match with Johnny B. Bad at Beach Blast. They have, they're talking about their the fighting over the confetti gun, this, that, and the other. And it ends with Max actually playing his guitar. Like, it was average, but when every Flair for the Gold has been well above average.
Right.
Yeah, like this wasn't a bad interview segment.
It wasn't up to the standard that's already been established.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we're getting Dusty Rhodes next week again.
Gonna say, looking forward to where that goes with him and the Assassin.
Yeah. By the way, the main event, which I'm going to admit, I'm glad I finished watching this right before we started recording because I was so enthralled in watching this match, I didn't take a lot of notes.
This match was amazing. Best match of the week for sure.
Yeah, we got the 4 Hosemen because I don't know how to spell horse. I have it written down in my notes as the 4 hose men. Apparently, they're all firefighters now. Versus the Hollywood Blondes and Barry Windham. Oh my God, this lineup. You have tag champions, world champions, U.S. champions, TV champions. You have multiple Hall of Famers. You have, let me hear. 1, 2, 3, 4 Hall of Famers, a future Hall of Famer in Pillman. You have Ric Flair's so many world titles. Barry Windham's the current world champion. The current world tag champions are in this. We discussed the titles that Arn won last week. You know, even Paul Roma is going to end up, before he leaves WCW, with a couple of tag title reigns.
Yeah, this match on paper is gold.
Yeah.
No, not even gold. Platinum.
I was getting ready to say that. You know what?
What?
The match was fucking platinum.
Absolutely.
This was like, we had that amazing 2 out of 3 falls match between Doink and Marty Jannetty last week. WCW was like, all right, bet.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. And you know what? This was a 1A, 1B. This match was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I loved this match so much.
Yeah, this might be one of the best WCW matches I've seen so far this year. Not my favorite yet. My favorite is still the White Castle Flair strap match from Super Brawl.
That was amazing as well.
That so far is my match of the year for WCW. WWF, my match of the year so far was last week.
But yeah, for a match of this caliber on free TV.
Yeah, it was free TV. This was TBS, folks. And I'm sure they sweetened the crowd a little bit, like with microphones and shit, but the rumble from the fans are stomping their feet and the rumble you get.
The crowd was electric in this match.
Yeah. And would I expect a little TV magic with that? Sure. This was a small studio.
Right.
But you could just feel it, the reverberation, and you're just like, ooh.
Yeah.
We could go the play-by-play, but once again, I was too busy watching how good this match was.
Yeah, I backed up a lot. I took my notes like I always do, but I backed up to rewatch a lot of the spots.
Yeah, I would have had to have watched this about 2 or 3 times to get all the notes. Because I was just like, oh shit, I've been watching this for 5 minutes, and I haven't taken one note.
One of the things I noticed the most was Ric Flair's chops are vicious.
Oh, why do you think when people do chops now you hear them go, woo, in the crowd?
Yeah, there was also an awesome selling spot. He gets whipped toward one of the neutral corners, catapults himself over it to the apron opposite the hard cam and out to the floor.
Oh yeah, famous Flair spot.
That's the thing he does commonly?
Uh-huh.
Did not realize that.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen much of him wrestle, so...
Yeah, like, we're still getting amazing stuff from Flair. We would still get it for, like, years, but this is, like, I would say this is it's not peak Flair. I would say maybe even peak Flair, but this was, like, early 90s. I mean, I would pick, late 80s, like 86, 87, 85, Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Where he would routinely go an hour every night.
Wow.
Like, when they say Ric Flair at his peak was conditioned...
That's what they mean.
He was going an hour most nights.
Wow.
30, 45, 60 minutes nightly against high level, like your Barry Windhams or your Dusty Rhodes, your Harley Races, he was defending it against anybody that would,
step in the ring.
Yeah. Ric Flair could, say what you will about him now. We're going to refrain judgment. Peak Ric Flair he's considered one of the best for a reason.
Right.
And we saw some of it here.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote in my notes, not gonna lie, not many notes. And then the next note, they're talking about how the Hollywood Blondes have their terrible towel. And I'm like, I thought that was Pittsburgh.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, and I know, like, once there's a lot of folks, we're in the middle of the playoffs. There's gonna be probably some enough football talk until the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first thing I thought of was like terrible towel. Wasn't that Pittsburgh?
Right.
But it was great. And I was even surprised, holy shit, Ric Flair got to move off the top rope.
I saw that. That was awesome.
I was like, oh shit, Ric Flair didn't get thrown. Because that was the famous Ric Flair spot. He would never get a match he would get up on the top rope and they would just peel him off. That's a Ric Flair thing.
Gotcha.
So when I was like, oh shit, like, because we're going through it, like, this was a very even match, back and forth. The psychology was great, the selling was great, the storytelling was great. You had many different storylines. You had, not only is it Ric Flair and Barry Windham for the title, you got the Blondes and the other Horsemen for the title. Barry Windham used to be a 4 horseman. He's considered one of the best 4 horsemen. You had the Blondes and their stuff with Rick and Arn. Like, there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stories here.
And everybody put everybody else over beautifully.
Yeah. Like, when I say no notes, I didn't take any. I have no notes because I didn't take any. But this match does break down. Obviously, you're going to have a match like this break down. Everybody's fighting. Ric Flair actually gets Barry Windham into figure 4. And then Windham takes Nick Patrick and tosses him out of the ring. And the bad guys get disqualified.
So yeah, at the same time, Paul and Arn are keeping Bryan and Steve from breaking the pin up.
Yeah.
Breaking the submission up.
Yeah. So we get a DQ win for the Horsemen.
19 minutes, 46 seconds.
Fucking A, this match was so good.
Yes, so good.
This might be number 2 on my match of the year so far for WCW.
I agree with that 100%. And for sure, our match of the episode.
Oh, shit. Match of Saturday night, match of the episode. Like, we don't even have to go over our match for Saturday night or the match of the episode because it's the same match.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. You and I really don't, like, we have our own tastes when it comes to wrestling.
Right.
We don't agree very often.
No, not often at all.
And the fact that we're agreeing, like, this much on this match shows you how good. Oh, by the way, once again, not that Tom Green, thank you, my dude, because once again, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been able to do this episode.
Yeah, again, we're in the middle of about a 4-week block where Saturday night just is not on Peacock.
Yeah. Which, once again, I don't get why you would do random episodes instead of going through the whole year. Like, it's like that. They do that with the superstars from, like, 91, 92. It's the same thing. Why would you... You have the footage. I get if you want to release, like, 4 to 6 months blocked. You don't want to release all of them at once.
Right.
But if you're going to release, you know, from episodes from, like, February to April, release all of them. Not, like, a couple here, a couple there. Especially since there was, you know, a lot of these did have storylines that, you know, week to week, they still had storylines back then.
Yeah.
Once again, this seems like a quick episode because they were both, this was an hour.
Yeah, both shows were an hour this week.
Yeah. So we know we're getting close to Beach Blast. Oh my God, I actually said it multiple times this week and didn't fuck it up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My tongue finally works. Beach Blast is coming up here in about a month-ish.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
July 18th.
I'm sorry, 2 weeks. So we got SummerSlam coming up in August. We got Beach Blast coming up in 2 weeks. We have the Stars and Stripes Challenge the next day. So we'll talk about that next week about what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we'll talk about what I thought about how this was basically just a gigantic, massive, expensive publicity stunt for one person, and it wasn't for Yokozuna.
Mm-hmm.
He was just basically the catalyst of it. And we'll see that actually coincides with what happens at SummerSlam, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Be interesting to see where this story goes.
Yeah, so once again, once you realize what happens, Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret did a fantastic video about this person and this whole gimmick and storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, one of my favorite wrestling channels is Wrestling with Regret.
So yeah, you turned me on to his content. I haven't watched him in a while, but I loved what I did see.
Yeah, like he does, high quality stuff. Like I watched a video on him. He actually has a TV background in like news, so like he's very good. And he also still does the occasional managing too. What's funny, he's a heel manager.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, he's like me. He's got some much more managing experience. You know, I had a little bit, but he's still doing it, so he's years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like he's that is a dream collab right there for this show.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, but that's a dream collab for this show. Is him? Yeah, 100%. So, anyways, once again, Raw was meh. WCW was the winner this week. Not just because of the main event, which sure as hell helped. Just overall, like it was enough to where you could drown out the Cactus Jack segment.
Definitely.
Once again, no problems, no notes.
No notes.
Well, I think that's it. This is a relatively quick episode.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming out. We will be back next week with you said in 2 weeks, so it'll be about we'll have 2 WCW Saturday nights before Beach Blast.
Mm-hmm.
We will have the results of the Stars and Stripes Challenge next week from Raw. We are on YouTube, Rumble, basically all podcasting sites, Spotify and Google and Apple, and basically if there's iHeartRadio, basically if there's a podcast site, whatever you listen to your podcast on, we're there.
Right.
So give us, 5 stars, but I mean, be honest. But like, 5, up fingers, stars, circles, freaking whatever.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell.
Basically bells, stars, whistles, whatever they use. Give us as many as you want to give us. Hopefully 5. Where can we find you on the interweb, sir?
I am at Big Boct, BIGBOCT, pretty much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Xander?
Xander Invictus everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I've been doing a lot for TikTok. I actually dropped 3 TikToks in the last 2 days. Like I said, the new Diablo season's coming up on Tuesday, the 22nd. So diving back into Twitch on Diablo, we're going to be doing a lot of builds for YouTube. So if you like Diablo, come follow me on Twitch.
Which I do.
Yep, follow me on YouTube. When we're, like I said, we do build videos, playlists, dungeon runs, that sort of thing with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to wait until the new season dropped because the way Diablo works, if you're doing a seasonal character and the season ends, you just get sunlighted into the non-seasonal endgame stuff.
Yeah. I do seasonal content in Diablo 2 Resurrected.
So yeah, you get it. And like I said, they just did season 30 on Diablo 3, so I think if they're doing that with 4, plenty of content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got other stuff coming up. We'll let you know. We're actually going to be doing a couple of convention appearances as attendees. So if you're in the Ohio area, you can come say hi to us. We will be in. We'll get there closer. Once we get there closer, we're about 2 months out for one and 3 for the other.
Yep.
Ones that we go to every year. But yes, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.